excited to have today's guest join us. We've recorded these now twice in the preseason, and I think everyone knows how those years have ended up. So here's to kicking off number three, Coach.
Yeah, you know my how superstitious I am. And so
I know you better keep winning, or else I'm screwed here.
we'll just do it a different time of year.
Okay, all
Uh,
right, all
but
right.
but hopefully we're doing it to the exact day we did it last year.
Yeah. So let me start with this one. So to me, as I kind of look at the team heading into this year, and kind of the overarching theme of the season to me is player development, guys stepping into elevated roles. I think that player development aspect is one thing I've always loved about college basketball and seeing these guys grow. What do you think are some of the keys to what you and your staff do to help these guys develop and make that jump year after year?
Yeah, I think it's when we start, Jared. I think the fact that we start as early as you possibly can in the summer, and although it's not necessarily a defensive focus, because we are more focused in the summer on our transition offense, just our offensive attack overall. But
Mhm.
we're just getting a lot of reps during the summer. We get a lot of live reps, and we do it for 8 weeks of the 10 weeks in the summer. So like we're practicing hard an hour a day as opposed to 2 hours and 10 minutes a day. But that time gives us a head start, I think, with getting freshmen ready and just helping players improve. So we start early, and then we value how hard we practice. And if you practice hard, you're going to develop players. If you do the right things really, really hard every day, you're going to get better as a player, and your players are going to get better.
So share some thoughts for us a little bit on some of these guys adjusting to newer roles. I mean, we could start with Hassan. You always look at the point guard out there as that leader out there. What do you see in him and what you're expecting from him this year, making that jump from, six man to starting point guard?
Yeah, I think right now it's with whatever Hassan's whether he's a starter or he comes off the bench in that role, we're just going to need a better version of him. Not an all-American type of season that way, but just like improved and increased production and an increased efficiency, but then just playing the right way, just like running our system, running our offense, just not being a player who's matured and even makes less mistakes and embodies the way that we want to play. I don't want to put like numbers on what Hassan
Mhm.
does, because Hassan's value, it goes well beyond the statistics, because he's a heart and soul type of player.
I know you've talked a lot in the offseason about this sophomore class and the work they've put in. I mean, you got these guys to buy in, stick around, and now it looks like the production should be paying off. What have you seen from them as we, are a week out here from the season?
I mean, well, it goes back to last year, and Jalen Stewart's Big East tournament earned a lot of trust from this staff that he'd be ready for a next step. He flashed as a freshman, just like Solo did at MSG versus Carolina. They had moments that reminded us of what Jordan did his freshman year in the Bahamas. So when we saw those moments from them versus top flight opponents, we bought in, and we coached them and developed them the whole year. Obviously, Jaden Ross doesn't have those moments that we
Hmm.
saw publicly, but he's had those in enough practices during the course of his freshman year where when we looked at the three of them, we felt there was higher upside to getting those guys on the court this year. They're all three of them are going to be part of our top six, top seven players this year, rotation wise. So um, we think that it's high end talent, and there may be some lumps, especially early in the year, especially defensively,
Hmm.
especially consistently, but consistency wise. But they give us a high ceiling, by as we get into like March, February, March, April, those guys could be playing the way Jordan was playing at the end of his sophomore year.
I think Solo's story is really interesting in particular because I think in this era of college basketball, if you're a player who, as a freshman gets some big minutes early, you see those minutes dwindle a little bit. You might be looking for the next team and see what's going on. How did you get him to stay motivated and get him to continue to buy in on this program? And just from what we've seen in the exhibition and heard in the offseason, it seems like it's going to pay dividends big time.
Yeah, I mean the just those moments. I mean the thing with Solo and you're looking at the human being and
Yeah,
you're how did he handle going from starting at MSG and some huge non-conference wins to he struggled a little bit to start Big East play. And then I really didn't have a great explanation for him as to, why he went from where he was, besides, conference play is tougher on
yeah,
young
yeah,
players. But the way he handled it, he practiced hard, his attitude was great. Um, he didn't take a victim mentality, like he just kept showing up. And just we knew the talent was there. You knew he displayed the character in terms of he didn't diminish anything from the team. The problem for him and Jalen and Jaden Ross last year was like our first seven last year was just,
stacked. Yeah,
oh my God, the level of basketball that those guys were playing in the first seven just made it so hard on the eighth man. Not forget the ninth player. The eighth player, the efficiency of the team was like we were playing the best basketball they've played in 25 years. That's why it
yeah.
was hard.
So another guy, and we'll talk a little bit about, is my podcast co-host here during the season, Alex. I know you said he's got to get a little swagger. What do I need to do to get out of him on the podcast? So I got to start doing some TikToks. What are you looking for there?
Oh no, Tik Toks. That would be cringe with Alex. He wouldn't do that. No, he's got to stay ball player. But this, like the things that we're banking on this season, obviously, to get Mahaney to be somewhere between, where Tristan Newton was year one,
Yeah,
and where Cam was year two. Like you got to kind of get him somewhere there, and we're asking him to play on the ball more because it's tough. It's tough to play him and Hassan too many minutes together in the backcourt because it becomes a really small backcourt, and a big part of our success has been, our perimeter size. So, like Mahaney's a critical guy. How are you leading him? The sophomore class, like, are you, the new two center combo? Like, we need
yeah,
Alex to be bringing this group in and like, hey guys, I'm a back-to-back champ. Until you guys figure it out, I got you.
yeah,
And like, just like keep listening to coach. We know what to do here. We're UConn, and just follow my lead, boys. I got it.
yeah, yeah,
And that's it. And obviously with support from Samson and support from Hassan that way. But Alex is going into a year where he could maybe say at the end of the year, I've had the greatest college career of anyone in the history of UConn. And I've had the greatest college basketball career in the last 25, 30 years of any player with what I've won.
yeah.
He should be walking around like he owns everything.
All right. Well, we'll keep off the TikToks from the podcast, so don't worry there. We'll hold that back. You mentioned the center position a little bit. I'm curious. I know in reading some stuff up on Tarris, he mentioned that at Michigan they showed him a lot of Adama Sanogo film. Do you see some of Adama's game in Tarris?
Yeah, I mean, I was a good person to watch. Obviously, it's hard to emulate. um, and it's an identity thing for Tarris. He's got great physical abilities, size, athletic ability. Um, he also's got some real personality, and he's not like a deadhead. I mean, he's like alive, and he's like got some pop. So there's a lot there to like. But his efficiencies and his assist to turnover ratio and his defensive presence. I mean, there's things that we've got to coach him to do a lot better than he was doing.
Hmm.
But I do think if we could get him to develop an identity that was more similar to the way Adama played, his efficiencies will go up. Now, sometimes like bad habits are hard to break. So every day, we've got to get a level of trust from him that
Hmm.
way. But we feel like we've had a unique center combo.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's enough talent at that position where that won't be the reason why we don't have a championship season. I think we could get the center position to give us the production that we need. I don't think it'll be them.
Looking to add some local flavor to your lineup? Martin Rosals is the MVP of your game day spread and a slam dunk for any occasion. Proudly made in hard-hit New Britain, their famous kielbasa and hot dogs have been a fan favorite for over 96 years. You can find their products in grocery stores across the state or have them delivered directly to your home court, coast to coast, via martinrosal.com. Take your taste buds to the championship and go support a UConn fan-owned business. You mentioned the 1-2 punch there, and that's something that I feel like the past couple of years it gets brought up all the time. The Sonogo Klingon Samson. Now you got Samson Tarris. Do you like the 1-2 punch in what these two guys provide? Kind of different skill sets out there in that position.
Well, we're doing it that way by design, I think. Maybe not initially with Adama and Donovan, but then with Donovan and Sampson, and then Sampson with a more physical Adama-like player. I think
Hmm.
what makes it work is how the game changes offensively and defensively when the other center comes in. And now we're attacking you with a different type of identity. So like it's almost like preparing for two different types of teams. When the centers are very different, and the centers also uh, are game-changing, really good players. Samson Johnson last year, when Donovan was hurt, and when Donovan, beginning of year, mid-year, when Donovan wasn't the player he was at the end of the year, Samson helped us win a lot of games. Those big non-conference games at MSG, he had his fingerprints all over them.
Yeah.
He held down the fort when Donovan was out, and then Sampson was great in his minutes versus Purdue. Offensively, he changed the game to start the second half. So Sampson's a difference maker too.
You said earlier how you're not necessarily concerned about the center position and the production there. That's not what's kind of keeping you up and going to be the difference of winning a championship or not. At this point in the season, what is the thing that's keeping you up at night the most?
Well, I mean, Jared, actually everything is keeping me up. I'm just as a persona. When you're back-to-back champs, there's a confidence level that we have
Yeah.
uh, that these things will get figured out. Obviously, going into last year, there were there were questions. There were a lot of questions about last year's team. I could get into preseason Big East poll. Like I could get into what things that were being said about the team last year. This is different because it's a 2 year. It's
Hmm.
7 players to the NBA and 9 or 10 rotation players over 2 years. So there's been greater losses that have accumulated, but we're used to players stepping up here. We're used to there being preseason questions. I would say who around the wings and fours, like the the big wings through the four spot, and then
Hmm.
and then granted we coach Tarris up and we get him playing to the identity we need him to play to. I think it's just going to come down to just we need Hassan and Mahaney. We need that guard play. With the guard play, I would say would be the biggest question mark if I'm looking at the team.
All right. And I know as we were just talking there, you said you could have looked at Big East rankings last year in the preseason and stuff like that. I know you've made it clear. I know when you were talking with Matt Norlander that you thought this team should have been number one. Why do you think this team in this program may not get quite the respect that some of the other programs out there get if they were in the similar position?
Um, I think it's people that are either brand focused, where it just um, they're they get caught up in maybe the a longer history of other programs, like maybe a little bit longer history, a little bit more tradition. Or, just like I think smart basketball people. I'd say if I looked at it from a standpoint of like, yeah, I mean, how much a team has lost and just look at it on the surface that way. I mean, a
Yeah.
smart person would say that there's going to be a drop off, but There wasn't after we lost so much the year before. We actually came back with an even better performance.
Yeah.
So fool me once, shame on whatever, however that thing goes. I don't know. I don't really know how that shame on
Yeah.
me, shame on you. I don't know. I don't know how that goes.
We'll just throw some shame out at everyone then. Uh,
Yes.
one thing that was different this offseason is you got to take the team in front of some fans and play an exhibition. What did you get out of getting to do something like that in the offseason, in the preseason here? And how does that compare to what may have happened in the past when you played maybe two of those secret scrimmages instead of getting one in the open and one behind closed doors?
It helped me sleep better in certain spots, like seeing Solo take what he's been doing
Yeah,
right out there. I think in certain situations with certain players that are going to be in much bigger roles, we got a chance to validate and get more confidence, even though, Jay Ross didn't play as well as he's playing since then. I think that was a confidence builder for him. Just getting out, hitting a three,
yeah,
like scoring the ball,
yeah,
like getting out on the court and looking like a good player. I think it helped certain players. Just get some confidence or make us feel as good as we do kind of privately. And then obviously you get the butterflies or whatever, some of
yeah.
the night, anxiety out, I think helps. And it was good for our fans, I think, just to get a good look at some new people. But for the most part, we're going to be a lot better than
Yeah.
when we were when people saw us last time.
All right. We talked a lot about guys in new roles, and one guy I left off that we didn't talk about is Andrew. How's he adjusting in his new role with you?
Yeah, I think holding on to as much of the people that have made the championships possible, as long as they were contributing to it and not just taking credit for it, just retaining as many of the characters or the people that created the culture and formed the chemistry of what we've become here. Holding on to the quality members of that is important. And so just having him back around the team is
Yeah.
important from that standpoint because he really was an important part of what our locker room and our cultures looked like.
So I know you've been hard at work here in the preseason, but have you had a chance now with NBA season underway to watch some of the recent alums play? I mean, we've seen what Donovan and Steph have gotten off to good starts there. Jordan's going off. Have you had a chance to watch much?
I did. I have, and I've enjoyed it. And then sometimes I haven't enjoyed it if they've missed a shot, or if I think the coach isn't playing them as much as they should, or I get to be a fan, and I like being a fan sometimes too. And but you just got obviously a ton of pride, and what the organizations are saying about the players and how much they believe in the players,
Yeah,
and just hoping that some of the others that need opportunities here, James Bouknight and Tyrese Martin and Adama, some of the guys
yeah.
that or need of getting a real opportunity to get out there, you're hoping it works out for them too.
For sure. All right. I've got a couple just fun ones here to wrap, kind of just looking back at this offseason as a whole. I think one of the funniest things that I saw from you this offseason was you talking with President Biden about your underwear. Did you ever think you'd be talking with the President of the United States about your underwear?
No, I never thought I'd be talking about underwear. I never thought I'd be talking to the president of the United States.
Fair enough.
Yeah, combine them. Yeah.
I think the other weird storyline that we saw just a couple weeks ago was Law and Order did an episode where a defending back-to-back college basketball coach was murdered and had just gotten an offer from Kentucky. Did you see any parallels there?
Yeah, they sent that. I had that sent to me. I think my oldest son, Danny, who works for Scutari
Okay.
uh, in Jersey, he's the one who hit me with it at like 6 a.m. while he was up. He somehow got his hands on it, and it was eerie.
Yeah, for sure.
It was eerie. I know Andrea didn't like it. I found it to be, I found it to be a moment of an arrival of sorts.
Yeah.
But I do think that the president of NBC Sports is a Providence graduate.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
so now my wheels are turning that because it's Law and Order is an NBC show,
yeah, yeah,
and the PC guy, obviously there's a major rivalry and a dislike between the fan bases, so that's going a little bit too far if he
yeah.
actually has anything to do with it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I like we got the wheels spinning here on one there. So I like that. I'll wrap with this one. Just as we're just a week away from the season here. How excited are you to get out on the court with this group on Wednesday? I know you got to wait a couple days. I know the season officially kicks off Monday, but how excited are you to get out there with these guys and play a real regular season game here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, so much work just goes into what the product is going to look like and how the product and the team is going to continue to evolve, improve, get better. All those things. I mean, we've put so much into what's about to start next week is that, your physiology changes, your
Yeah.
mentality changes, you start driving the Raptor now every day to try to get yourself to this mental space that you need to, which the season brings. So the roller coaster ride's about to start again, and I think that it's a real feeling of aliveness that you get to miss when you're in the summer and
Yeah.
you're in September and you want to get started.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's going to be high 70s here this week. It doesn't quite feel like basketball season with the weather just yet, but it's nice to know it's just around the corner here. So,
Yeah.
Coach, I really appreciate you taking some time here in the preseason. We'll hopefully go 3 for 3, and we'll do this again next fall.
Yeah, same day before Halloween.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much.
Later, man.